A badge of honor. Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But that's not how it feels today, and the stress of the job is taking its toll, taking lives through suicide and post-traumatic stress injury. A Badge of Honor podcast features the cast of the same name, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno. Sam, John, and the team offer the first responders workshops through their critical incident stress management teams and mental health liaisons to offer state-certified T-COLE credit programs that save lives. It's time to smash through the stigma. It's time to heal from your injury, and it's time to back our blue. Welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast. Here are your hosts, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno.
Hey everybody, welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast. We are powered by the OBBM network. And hey, if you are watching, we are streaming live right now on the OBBM network through their Dallas stream. However you stream TV, you can stream us really big live right in your living room bedroom too, but we don't need to get personal. Hey, I am missing my sidekick, John. He has been tapped to work some overtime tonight, so I'm sure he's got us on silent. So hey, waving to John. Live stream is up. There are some changes going on to where A Badge of Honor podcast is now living. Now, you guys know that Facebook has been doing its crazy things. So we're off. You will still see us posting on there, but we are not live streaming to Facebook any longer. If we say the wrong things, YouTube takes us down. So that's kind of catch as catch can. We are asking everybody to either stream us live, watch us on our Rumble channel. We are still streaming live on Instagram. Have to see how that goes. And thank you, Elon. We are streaming live on X. Because they don't mess around. So, the best place to catch us is either in your living room or Rumble, and that's pretty much where our replay links go out from. Now, it has been a rough 2 weeks here in the Dallas area, and DPD, Dallas Police Department, our hearts and prayers go out to you. You are on our minds every single day. This week is tough enough with the 23rd anniversary of September 11th. But the funeral was on Sunday. We've still got an officer in recovery in the hospital. So prayers go out to her and her family. And we're just holding you all in prayer. It is whether you were actively involved in 9/11, like John and I, whether you deployed after 9/11 because our country came under attack, you answered the call. God bless you for doing that. We thank you so much. There's residual that has been left. Our minds, our hearts were affected. And our guest this evening, he and his wife really, they spearhead a very unique foundation that gives back to our warriors in so many ways. He's got an incredible journey of his own, of not only suffering and being in the shit like John and I talk about, but coming out the other side. And it's the connections that he's made and that his wife has made. They've pulled them all together, and they're just blessing us with what they do. I want to introduce tonight's guest on A Badge of Honor podcast, Matt Payne with the Outer Circle Foundation. Welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast, Matt.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Well, tell everybody about yourself, if you don't mind starting with your military service, because that is completely badass. And yeah, let's start there.
Yeah. So I, right out of high school, enlisted in the Air Force, and I was a very unknown job called a combat controller. And back in the day, I went in 1985, so I'll show my age a little bit. But there were about 230 of us in the world who did what I did. And we are the special operations arm of the Air Force. And it's interesting now that the combat controllers, from what I've been told from the current guys, we are the first human capital that has been titled a weapons system, just from the capacity of what we are able to do and what we bring to the fight as a whole. So I did that for about 10 years, 1985 to 1995. So pre-global war on terrorism. And I was medically retired in 95. And, it was a very quick medical retirement, had no idea what I wanted to do, and landed in law enforcement, kind of a circuitous route in law enforcement. Started with U.S. Customs up in Newark on a contraband enforcement team. Did that for a little bit, and then became a street cop in Hillsborough Township in Somerset County, New Jersey, and then a detective down in Trenton, and then ultimately retired as the chief humane law enforcement officer for New Jersey, where we did all the animal cruelty investigations in New Jersey. So we did all the dog fighting and cockfighting and, everything that went on there in New Jersey. So I have the both sides, right? The special operations side and the law enforcement side. So that's why we have Outer Circle Foundation, which represents both veterans and first responders.
Yeah, and you certainly saw a lot in your capacity in the Air Force in special ops, as well as being a cop. And I mean, we think about all the calls that involve children. Well, what about we don't think about the animal calls. Now, some of them are like, you're trying to avoid being viciously attacked, but there's got to be some heartbreaking stories and some sights that, you have a hard time getting out of your head. And how long was it that you decided, like, hey, we need to create a foundation?
So it's been on our hearts for a while, right? My wife and I, and we really started to think hard about it in about 2018. We really started to lay the foundation, and then 2020 is when we opened the doors. And we very quickly, when the Afghan government fell, when I left the military, I was part of the Joint Special Operations Command, which is a tier 1 unit in the military. And the guys, my former teammates, called and said, "Hey, you guys have a nonprofit, right?" "Yep. We need some help." "Okay, what are we doing?" "We're going to get our Afghan Special Forces allies out of Afghanistan. How quickly could you, change your mission? Give me a day." And we shifted our website. We got a donation link up, and one family turned into 5, turned into 100. And 2.5 years later, we were moving, many, many families, along with other nonprofits, a ton of other nonprofits, helping move our Afghan allies out of Afghanistan. And so we did that for about 2.5 years. And then we shifted our focus and our mission back to the US and really focused on PTSD awareness, suicide prevention, and transition help back to our US-based veterans and first responders now.
Yeah, when we first connected, I think I mentioned I had just listened to a podcast about another organization who you knew about that was helping to get the families and the interpreters out of Afghanistan, and all of the logistics work that went into that. I mean, you guys, there are probably going to be a bunch of movies that come out about what you guys did when you can freely speak about it. What was that like?
It was like, you hear the term herding cats. We were herding mice because it was stuff we couldn't see. And it was, it took us a while to organize, right? And figure out who could do what and how we could get things done. And, once we got the basis of our nonprofits together with, hey, I had transportation here, I could get visas here, I had a group of safe locations here. I had different things here, and and then all the things that we brought to the table, right? Then it became a manageable type of scenario. But I mean, we had people getting shot. We had women giving birth. We had, kids that needed medical help. So we were dealing with all kinds of things while we're trying to navigate the Taliban and while we're trying to do a variety of different things. And, it was organized chaos, but, in the end, we did the best that we could do. And luckily, I have a Christmas card out in my office of the first family we moved, and they're outside of DC, and he's a civil engineer. Kids are in school. He's got a house, he's got a car, and he's living an American life. He's got a green card, and they're on their way to citizenship. And so I still stay in contact with a slew of the families that we moved. And but yeah, it was quite an experience.
That is fantastic. Hey, if you guys are just joining us on the podcast, yes, I am riding solo today with Matt Payne, who is the founder and president of Outer Circle Foundation. We got to take our first quick break. We will be right back after these messages. Stay tuned, everybody.
Move freely, America, without medical restrictions or penalty. Without medical freedom legislation in place, our rights and freedoms are one vote away from being dissolved. Move freely, America, with one voice, without fear of retribution, achieving a common goal, medical freedom. We the people make our voices heard by connecting with state legislators and engaging a constitutionally compliant medical Bill of Rights for all citizens. Individually, change is improbable, but as an aggregate, attainable. It's time to act with one voice. My voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
To protect our freedom, creating one voice that cannot be ignored. This requires your voice, too. Move Freely America. Go to movefreelyamerica.org to find a chapter near you. Plug in, donate, and help our legislators defend our God-given rights under the Constitution. Move Freely America. My voice.
And my voice.
And together with your voice, we're one voice that cannot be ignored. Donate today. MoveFreelyAmerica.org.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor podcast. We are powered by the OBBM network. This is Sam, and I am here with Matt Payne, the founder and president of the Outer Circle. We are talking about how the Outer Circle started with him and his wife helping to get families out of Afghanistan. Now, Matt, John and I, we tried to, I'll say, skirt around politics because, social media, but yep. You are in the thick of it. You're helping to get these families that desperately needed to get out or else they would be killed. You were on the front lines. You served in special operations in the Air Force. And I know it was prior to that offensive in Iraq and Afghanistan. But I got to ask you, it's election season, right? Your thoughts, like first words that come to mind to describe the failed Joe Biden administration withdrawal.
Chaos, travesty, never should have happened. Just all the equipment, everything that's being used right now and against. And, you look at the progress that women had in Afghanistan up at that point in time and where they are now. And it's just, sickening to look at. But, it never should have happened. But
sickening, yeah. Sickening is a good word. And I think the war on women is happening globally. From somebody who grew up playing sports, I'm scratching my head going, what world am I living in right now? But let's get back to the Outer Circle, because you and your wife decided to shift and focus on post-traumatic stress, getting veterans and first responders aligned with care. And, what did the beginnings look like?
So, in the beginning, I can tell you, and a lot of people don't know, but I mean, I walked around for 30 years with PTSD and did not know it. And, when I look back at failed relationships and, strains and struggles that I had, and just some of the different issues that I dealt with personally, like people would look at me and go, dude, what's wrong with you? And my response would be like, I don't know, I guess I'm just wired wrong. And, I later found out, through the course of things, about 2.5 years ago, I started having really, really bad nightmares that were violent and, chaotic when I would sleep. I would go days without sleeping, and my fuse was really short, and I would be very reclused in on myself, and I would close everybody out, and I would just kind of do my own thing. And my wife was like, oh no, we're not dealing with this, and we're going to go get some help. And I got diagnosed, and I went down the traditional route where I got therapy, and then they put me in contact with a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist put me in contact or gave me all kinds of medicines that basically left me as a shell of who I was, and just horrendous medicines. And I did that for a little while and got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and could not stand up and fell over and knocked over the nightstand and stuff went flying. And we were like, yeah, we're not doing this. So I started looking for alternative treatments. And Dr. James Lynch is up in Annapolis, and Dr. Lynch and I were stationed at JSOC together and back in the day. And Doc was a flight surgeon back then. And after the War on Terror, he started doing a ton of work with PTSD. And there is a procedure that's been around for a long, long time called the stellate ganglion block. And you have two bundles of nerves on each side of your neck, and they connect your autonomous and your sympathetic nervous system. And basically what he does is he injects a anesthetic into those nerves, which resets your fight or flight system. And it is not a cure for PTSD, so don't think that there's a cure. But what it does is it alleviates some of those symptoms. It helps you sleep. It gets your fuse back. It does some of those things to alleviate those symptoms so you can focus more on therapy and then get kind of back to life. And so I got that. And then I was like, all right, so there are some other ways that we can treat medicine or treat PTSD, and started doing a ton of research and making networks and doing, things like that really built out that process for if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I need help, how can we help them as thoroughly as we possibly can, given where they are in their journey at that point in time.
You brought up something that a lot of people don't think about. It's something that we talk about in our workshops, that this thing called PTS, it's not like, first of all, it's not a given. If you serve, you're not going to have it necessarily. And it may show its symptoms and creep up on you many, many years later, as you just described, Matt.
Yep.
And, thank you for sharing that so that people know, like, you thought there was something broken, wires crossed, where now the research shows that, hey, there's no timeline. And whatever the catalyst is for the symptoms to start and the severity of those symptoms, how they start, and then you're left confused. And that's why folks like you, like us, and so many of the organizations that you guys chose to partner with, you were pulling back the layers of the onion to say, hey, not only are you not alone in this, you are not broken, your wires are not crossed. We can help you, because this is, I want to say, normal. Because when you've done the things that you've done, seen the things that you've seen, and not at any time being given anything other than, hey, here's some drugs, which we've heard time and time again, that's the quick fix. Here's, they got the script pad. They're not offering a true solution. People are left sometimes scratching their heads or left out in the cold, feeling like, what is happening, right? Yeah. So I think it is incredible that you did the ganglion. I can't even pronounce it. Stella ganglion block.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I can pronounce it. That you were able to find that gave you some relief to focus on a therapy protocol that helped you understand. Now, before we dive into, once that understanding was formed, and then you guys were like, oh, we need to look beyond, we're gonna leave a cliffhanger, folks. We gotta take our next break, but I promise we will be back with Matt from the Outer Circle Foundation faster than you think. So stay tuned.
Interested in starting a podcast or TV show? Worried about what you'll say and how to keep it engaging? Think you'd like to be a guest on podcast, radio, or TV shows? Hi, I'm Susan Hamilton, owner and founder of OBBM Network, and I would like to invite you to an OBBM media training to get the tools you need for a relaxed and polished performance you'll be proud to share. Our specialized training techniques include role play, voice training, and everything you need to deliver a confident, clear, and engaging interaction. Go to offbeatbusiness.com. Go to the calendar and register for a training that's convenient for you. Dates available now, 214-714-0495.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with Sam minus John and our special guest tonight, Matt Payne, the founder and president of the Outer Circle Foundation. Hey, if you're just joining us, we just left you all with a cliffhanger, and Matt had received this really cool treatment called the Stella ganglion block. He was able to focus on his treatment for post-traumatic stress, and then we kind of had that ... So you realize, Matt, that you could make a difference for so many veterans and first responders out there, just like you, that were suffering.
Yeah. There's, when we look at it, right, and you look at it as a whole, it's not one size fits all. It's not, everybody is different. Everybody is in a different space. Everybody is, what works for one might not work for the other. So when we look at kind of, if you were to come to me and say, Matt, what kind of catalog do you have, or what do you have that would be a option for veterans or first responders that came to you? We have the ganglion block. We have access to different studies that are out there through Doc Lynch, through some of the other doctors and physicians and researchers that we work with. Like Emory University right now is doing an MDMA study, which is ecstasy. They're doing a psychedelic study. Ohio State is doing a cognitive processing therapy, which is a therapy for treatment of PTSD. That is one of the tier 1 therapies. Prolonged exposure is another one that they're doing, right? So we have access to studies. We have equine therapy, which is using horses as therapy. We have service animals through Pause for Life. We could take guys fishing and get them outside and get them out into the outdoors. We can take them hunting. We can do art therapy. We can do music therapy. There are so many different things we can do that could be used in that capacity. We work with the therapists. We work with a variety of things. If people haven't heard of the ganglion block, one of the first things that I do is I say, hey, I would like you to talk to Dr. Lynch. And if they're open to it, they reach out to Lynch. They go through a intake process. If he says, yes, it's a good candidate, and the person says, oh man, I wish I could do this, I can't afford it, then we have a scholarship opportunity or a way that we can help them in that process to get that treatment. The treatment is offered at multiple VA clinics if they're a service member. One here in Atlanta is one that offers it. And the VA doesn't even acknowledge this. It's not something that's widely broadcast, and it's not something that's out there.
Strangely enough.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
And, it's one of those things, right? So when somebody comes, the first thing is, have you been diagnosed, or what are you having? What's the issue? And then we can work through kind of some of those things with either therapists or crisis counselors or alternative treatments, or just getting them out and getting them socialized, or whatever the case happens to be. But there's a ton of things we can do, but each one is unique to that individual that helps them in their journey along the way. And then there's plant-based medicines on top of all of that,
right.
from a variety of sources.
So everything that you're talking about, people can check out on the website. I put it up on the screen for everybody listening on your favorite podcast app. It's outercirclefoundation.org. So you can go there. So if you've got an active first responder, obviously the psychedelics, the MDMA, plant stuff is probably off the table. Is the Stella ganglion block, is that an approved therapy, or would that not? That is okay.
Yeah, ton of research is on it. Doc Lynch, if you go to www.drjameslynch.com, that's the doc's website. I mean, he's written a ton of research. There's a million different articles out there with the ganglion block and PTS. And that is no different than getting your tooth filled, because it's just an anesthetic. It resets your fight or flight. You're back the next day with a little hoarse voice and a little difficulty swallow, and that's it. And you're good to go.
Now, do you recommend, because based upon the story that you shared, that because you're doing this anesthetizing or sort of pseudo resetting, that the person is in not necessarily a couch therapy program, but some other type of therapy program at the same time, or can it be completely on its own kind of thing?
So if I reach back into the deep, dark recesses of my head, Doc you have to be diagnosed and you have to be in therapy with a therapist, because he speaks to the therapist.
Got it.
Because this is not just you just go and you're all good. This is a whole tool in the toolbox to help you through the therapy process to better yourself, getting through PTS through a variety of resources. And therapy is one of those major clinical tools to help you through that, right? Cognitive behavioral therapy or cognitive processing therapy is one of those primary tools that are used.
Sure. Now, we've heard a lot, since the pandemic, the need for mental health resources, help from beyond the first responder and veteran community. It's hard. I mean, if you need a bed, it's virtually impossible to find one. Some of the specialized treatment, getting it covered has become very difficult as well. And, I want to specifically talk about the vetting process, because as John and I have said, there are very well-meaning organizations out there, well-meaning therapists, that it's like, hey, can I come to your workshop because I want to help first responders? And it's like, sure, you can come, but there's no recommendation that's coming through through you sitting through 8 hours hearing our stories of what we've been through. We have covered stories of first responders actually calling in and the person on the other line not being able to even handle what is going on with them and the explanation they're giving. How do you guys at the Outer Circle Foundation, how do you vet those therapists that you work with?
So I have a therapist here that I work with that has a whole network that's inside of that. And then, if I needed to pull somebody different, I would call one of the other therapists that I had at a clinical study that I'd had. We work very closely with a clinical psychologist here at one of the universities. And I'm actually having lunch tomorrow with another clinical therapist at one of the other universities here in downtown Atlanta. So, everybody comes by word of mouth, and you're either in that world or you're not in that world, right? And, it's kind of one of those things that, the guys know the good and the guys know the bad. And, the last thing I'm going to do is put our reputation on the line of somebody that I don't know or I haven't vetted or doesn't come from somebody that I would trust with my own therapy or treatment on top of that. So,
yeah, it's also a testament when you introduce somebody as Doc. So you did that with Doc Lynch, and there are people and therapists out there that are licensed clinical social workers that are phenomenal in their therapy protocols and work with veterans and first responders. So they're like, "Oh, you can't call me Doc," and we're like, "You want to bet?"
Yeah.
We're calling you Doc. Okay, you heal people. We get it. But it really is a moniker that runs deep and shows, hey, this person can be trusted. So thank you for doing that. Hey, if you are just tuning in, we are talking to Matt Payne. He is the founder and he's also the president of the Outer Circle Foundation, where we're talking about the amazing connections that they can make for veterans and first responders that have PTS, but maybe, you're wondering, hey, is something going on with me? Matt is a huge resource. We've got to take our next break and we'll be right back, everybody. Stay tuned.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with Sam and not John on the OBBM network. I am with Matt today, our special guest from the Outer Circle Foundation. And we're talking about resources for veterans, for first responders, not only that have received a clinical diagnosis of PTS, but maybe those that are just kind of wondering maybe what's going on with them. Do you need, Matt, to have that clinical diagnosis to seek you guys out to take advantage of your resources?
No. So, part of what we do is transition help, right? So you're getting ready to leave the military, you're getting ready to leave law enforcement, you don't know what you want to do, reach out. I'll walk you through the last guy that we helped, KC-10 operator, boom operator on a KC-10. KC-10 flies along, boom comes down the back, plane flies up and gets gas, and he, lays down and flies that boom that's there. And kind of didn't know what he wanted to do. He knew it was logistics or project management. And we help with the soft skills. We help with social media presence, LinkedIn, things like that, building your professional network. We help with business acumen. We help with corporate culture. We help with interview experience, dress and disposition, and then negotiation. So, we helped him through his journey. He landed a job in Verizon. He's a project manager now, out doing what he wants to do. And, part of the thing that I found is, they wanted me, after we got back from Haiti in 94, January, Doc was like, dude, you've had 4 knee surgeries. I want to put your records in front of the review board before you do so much damage you can't walk. I was 25, 26 years old. I didn't know. And I was like, okay, it's the military. It's going to take them a year or so. I can figure out if I'm going to do this right or not. No, a month and a half later, I'm standing outside the gate with my bags going, holy crap, what just happened? I have no idea. I went from being tier 1, one of the elite guys in the world to, Matt, the guy with my luggage standing outside the gate, not knowing what to do.
With a bum knee.
So, yeah. And we want to help that transition, right? We want to help them find their next thing, find their purpose, find their next thing that's going to help them with that transition and be ease of what they're going to do in their next life, whatever that is. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. And I think that's key as well in this journey called life. Guys, I've got Matt's website up, outercirclefoundation.org, for those of you listening on your favorite podcast app. And I say that because we often talk about the time in between, whether you're in uniform for our U.S. military, going into civilian life, which could mean going right back into service as a police officer, firefighter, one of our service industries, or the example that you just gave. But it's a time where you're keeping your mind focused on the next goal. And often when we have a break in service and we're allowed to sit around, if you will, and not keep our brains actively moving to the next thing, not to stay distracted, because there's a difference. There's a difference between keeping moving to staying distracted because you don't want to address what is going on because something is going on, versus setting that goal, moving to the next step with an awareness of, well, I'd like to do this for whatever the reason. But I'm noticing as I'm trying to learn something new, my reading comprehension is off, or my memory is off, or like in your case, Matt, my body is broken and we may have to do this timeout, right? And I think that is so perfect that it's like, hey, get a hold of us again, outercirclefoundation.org, get a hold of Matt and his wife and talk about what your plans are if you are moving from the military or first responder into a civilian role. So you can kind of talk about everything that's going on.
Yeah.
You're addressing A when it should be A instead of A turning into Z.
Yeah. And I can tell you, one of the things that we found very, very early on is I can walk along the service member, the police officer, whoever it is, the spouse, there's no resources. And that's where Buff comes in, my wife, right? So she takes that spouse and walks along beside and helps with her story. Because like I said, right, I had no idea what was wrong with me. And she would look and, now that we would look back on it, she would look at me and go, dude, what's wrong? And I'd go, nothing. And 15 minutes later, dude, what's wrong? Nothing. Dude, what's wrong? Nothing. And I would answer nothing because I didn't know how to say what was wrong. I could not explain it. She thought I was saying nothing because I was just blowing her off. Don't worry about it, right? It's not a big thing. And it took us a long time to kind of figure out how things are going. And she is a fixer, right? She wanted to help. She wanted to get involved. She wanted to be there for me. And when I say I would retract on myself, dude, I would retract on myself and I would get near me. Don't be anywhere around me. I just want to be me. and just leave me alone. And that's not a healthy way to be. Right. And the spouse, not knowing what's going on here, doesn't know how to handle that, doesn't know what to do. The kids don't know what to do. They don't know what's wrong with dad. They don't know how to help. They don't know, is this because of me? Is this because of something I did? Am I not going to say, right? So she walks along in that space, and we've really identified that there's got to be more resources available for the spouses and the families in this space to help them through what the service member or the police officer or the first responder is going through, while they're going through it as well at the same time.
That is such an important point. And like we say here with a badge of honor, like the entire family serves.
Yep.
We want, our hope is that departments, that it's not just left up to grassroots, and our organizations will embrace the entire family as a unit that serves. And some of them have. Those of you that dedicated watchers every week, thank you. We know who you are and what you do, and it is so vitally important, because that, especially, you go along that first responders timeline. If they know how, month one or year one out of the academy is going to look versus what they're going to be like year 5.
Yeah.
I mean, you can prepare so much. You can explain to the kiddos, what mom or dad, if they're coming home, maybe they need some time to themselves, and it's not because they don't love you, it's because they do love you, and they want to be the best mom and dad. So I applaud you guys so much for doing that, and including the family unit. When we come back, Matt, I want to touch on a lot of the stuff that you're doing in outdoors, because healing in nature is so important. I'm one that needs to regularly connect. We will be right back, everybody, to continue our conversation with Matt Payne. Stay tuned.
Rise and vibe with your new elevated morning ritual. Meet Rise by Frequence. Frequency-charged nutrition. Rise is formulated with a blend of 7 different organic mushrooms, B vitamins, amino acids, and green coffee bean extract. Rise supports brain health, performance, and focus while enhancing mood, mental clarity, and energy. Enjoy the delicious mango lemonade flavor while giving your mind the nutrients it needs. Get charged up with Rise. Fuel your body and mind today.
All right. This stuff is real, folks. You want to rise and vibe with me and John, even though he's not on the screen. He is vibing right now at work. There are so many incredible testimonials about this product and Source, which is the mineral product that I also take in addition to Rise. Now, Rise is that class of nootropics. You may have heard of nootropics. Supports healthy cognitive function, mental clarity, and overall brain health. You heard from the commercial, it's got 7 different organic mushrooms, B vitamins, all the all-important amino acids, and 100 milligrams of caffeine. Now, if you are sensitive to caffeine, Frequence did you a solid, and it is now made without caffeine. So you can, you're still going to rise and vibe. I promise you. So made without caffeine. Everything in Rise comes together. It is delicious. It makes this mango lemonade, and I put the Source in it. So it makes it a mango lemonade iced tea flavored. And it fuels your body and your mind. It's got no sugar. It's keto friendly. It's all about brain health, energy, mental and physical performance. I use this as my pre-workout, creativity, motivation, concentration. That's a huge one. When you're ready to sit down and get to work, Rise has got your back on that. Alertness and mood. So put something healthy in your body. Rise and vibe with Sam, and it is as easy as visiting a badgeofhonorhealth.com. You get a discount right now. Go to a badgeofhonorhealth.com, sign up for a subscription, and you get a discount on that. for being a member. Again, that's a badge of honor health.com. We got you covered. Again, Rise and Vibe with Frequency, Rise and the Source, those minerals that are really healthy for you. So back with Matt, let's talk about the outdoors, because you've got the doggies. We talked about the service dogs. They can come with you in the outdoors, but the key component is nature heals.
Yeah.
And just talk about a little bit the programs, because you like went through them. We want to hear get a little more meat into them.
Yeah, so we have a local farm here that does equine therapy. So they have horses. They're a certified. They do a lot of things for children with needs, special needs. And one of their therapies are specifically for veterans. And it's interesting. I sat down with them last week and we had a conversation, and they're working with a local police department to see if they can do stuff for first responders as well. And, when people sit and think about, the guys that are in the war on terror, their PTS must be totally different than somebody that's over here, and theirs must be totally different than over here. Doc Lynch will be the first one to tell you trauma is trauma is trauma. And, it's interesting listening to him, because he's got people that fly in from around the United States, and some are domestic violence victims, some are sexual assault victims, some are children that have been abused, some are veterans, some are first responders, some are whatever. But my point is, trauma is trauma, right? And there is a way to treat trauma across the board. So equine therapy is one. The patch that you see behind me from Afghanistan, we got the former command sergeant major of the elite Afghan special forces out of Afghanistan, and he lived with us here in Georgia for 9 months. And he is just the greatest guy. He and I travel around the circuit. We do fireside chats, and he's been fighting the Taliban since he was 8 years old. And he's got a story that movies are made of. And one of the things he loves to do more than anything is fishing. And luckily, I have a guy at my church, Chris Sonnendecker, who boots the boats, I think is what he is associated with. And he is I will call him a professional fisherman. He may get mad at me, but he and his daughter travel around everywhere. And we took Nassar out and we went trophy fishing, and we caught a 7.5 pound bass. We caught, an 8-pound trout, and he's got all these little areas. So, we can go fishing. We can do music therapy with guitars and singing. We can do hunting. Zach Brown has a huge place down in Fayette County, Georgia, down there. And I just connected up with a guy that does a lot of work with those guys down there. There's a lot of things we can do. It's working with the other organizations. I'm not great at that kind of stuff, but I got organizations that's what they do, and they're great at it. You mentioned one here in Georgia that does the kayak fishing, and I'd love to connect up with those guys, because at the end of the day, right, when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I would love to do service dogs. Oh, I'll connect you with Paws for Life. They're fantastic at service dogs. That is our go-to for that. And, we are not the one-stop shop, meaning I'm not the guy that does it all. I'm the guy that knows the people that do it great. And we can then connect to those people that do it great. Right?
That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, the first step that everybody can take is go to outercirclefoundation.org. Matt, with the minute we got left, where can people find you? Where do you play on social?
So Instagram is Outer Circle 501c. Facebook is Outer Circle, and then Outer Circle Foundation on LinkedIn. So we're on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We're not yet. We have a Outer Circle Foundation is on YouTube. We'll have some videos that'll come up. We have a golf outing on October 10th at Bears Best here in Suwanee. So hopefully we'll see you there.
And can people get tickets on your website for that?
Yep, right on the front page. Just scroll down a little bit. It's outercirclefoundation.org/golf 2024. That'll take you right to the golf registration page.
Outstanding. Well, Matt, thank you so much for spending this hour with me. John is saying hello from far away at work. It is awesome that you have so many connections out there where, again, go on the website. If you need help, it's a blue box right there. Request it. You are not alone. Your trauma, there's no comparing trauma. Trauma is trauma. Matt and Outer Circle Foundation can get you in touch with whatever kind of help you are looking for. And that includes your spouse and family. So let's not forget to mention that. Matt, thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.
We will be in touch. Yes, and I will be in touch with you about the organization in Georgia for the kayak fishing. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for your service. I wish you all the best on your journey that you're on right now. And you're in our blessings to you. You're in our prayers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll see you soon. You bet. Amazing foundation. Again, it's kind of like, they are the clearinghouse for you, just like we've got amazing partners at a badgeofhonor.org. We do workshops with first responders, so we're in the trenches with you in your departments. But if you need specific help, we can get you connected, and you'll see Matt's logo on our website as well. Hey, we have got a lot of announcements. So it's September 11th on Wednesday, 23rd anniversary of the worst attack on America since Pearl Harbor. So wherever you are in the world watching tonight, let's not forget, we lost 412 first responders. We continue to lose our first responder community to cancers directly related to the service on September 11th. So wherever you are, take a moment, remember them. If you've got a memorial ceremony near you, please go ahead and attend that. Our partners at Carry the Load, they will be out at the different cemeteries, veteran and service-related cemeteries across the United States. You can go on carrytheload.org and sign up. It happens on September 11th. So Patriot Day every single year. I will be in my hometown here in Rowlett. We have got a very special commemorative and memorial ceremony. And so that's where we will be. Then we've got September 20th. We have got us at a Badge of Honor, along with Heroes on the Water and Our Watch. You heard Matt talk about equine therapy. We will be out with horses. We will be fishing. We'll be out on the water in kayaks. A day of wellness and restoration for first responders. If you are anywhere in the DFW area, if you need to drive an hour, get out of the office for a day. Give that day to yourself. And so that is our Wellness and Restoration Day for you all. You can go on our website at badgeofhonor.org. It's a pop-up. Registration is required because we got to get the food and everything for you all. And so go ahead and register there. We only have 6 spots left. So you will want to definitely get in on that. September 21st, the next day, in Rockwall, Texas, we have got a very special memorial dedication and installment of a physical memorial at Heroes Memorial Park. It is the only park of its kind in the world that pays respects and is dedicated to lives, first responder lives we have lost to suicide. It's a place where family, friends, anybody can go to remember their loved ones, how they lived, not in the manner how they passed. So that is Saturday the 21st in Rockwall, Texas. And 10 o'clock, it's free. 10 a.m. You can find out more by visiting the events page on our website, abadgeofhonor.org. September 27th, Texas Valor Project's fundraiser clay shoot. You saw them last week on the podcast if you tuned in. So that's September 27th, Texas Valor Project. They may be sold out because it was going crazy. But if you love to do clay shoots, check them out at texasvalorproject.org. And September 28th, we have got Carry the Load again. Our partners has a fundraiser pickleball tournament. If you love playing pickleball, it is all the rage. Sign up for the pickleball tournament, raise money for an incredible organization, Carry the Load, that we are partnered with. They give back to veterans and first responders and family members of veterans and first responders. Then in October 4th through 6th, our partners with an organization called Operation Get Out. Sounds exactly like it is. You're out in nature. They have got their fall retreat. It is amazing. They take care of you, soup to nuts, meals, accommodations. You've got everything you need for an amazing experience with Operation Get Out. That is October 4th through 6th, operationgetout.org. And you can register right there on their website. I say it over and over again. John and I, we thank you so much for tuning in. Keep watching on Rumble. Keep watching on your favorite social media. Hit that like, hit that subscribe so you never miss an episode. And watch us on Roku. But we are live streaming tonight on the OBBM network to our Dallas folks. Hey, how is everybody doing in Dallas? Holler out. To our first responders out there, we are praying for you every single day. We understand completely the job because we've been there. We lived it. We also had PTSD from it. It's not that if you serve, you will end up like that, because us and organizations like Matt and so many others are out there for you. All it takes is for you to step forward, open your mouth and say, I need some help, or, hey, I just need to talk. Okay. It's as easy as that, but let's let the steam out so it doesn't build up. So we are praying for you every single day. Stay in the fight, fight the good fight. You are our warriors out there protecting our communities. And we thank you to our veterans for fighting the good fight, so that we get to do a show like this, even if Facebook and ScrewTube pulls us off because we talk about politics. Whatever. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We could not be speaking out and have the freedom that we have without you fighting for that. For all of our active duty personnel across the globe, thank you for what you do, keeping us safe here at home. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Dallas Police Department, continued for the recovery and healing of our sister in blue that is still in the hospital. And we just buried another one. We think about his family and the families of the officers, again, still recovering. Dallas Police Department, we got your back. So whatever you need, do not be shy. Tune in next week, everybody, where John will be back. And until then, you are not alone. And remember, there is always one more move. See you next week.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.